Hello, beautiful souls. Oh my gosh, it's so loud here. Okay, hopefully that is not too distracting. There is construction happening all over. There's going to be noises. Hopefully, you can still hear me and it's not too distracting. But I really felt like a strong nudge to go live, and I just felt like it was time. So here we are. I think it'd be nice to just start before we get into the message today with a little breath. Um, so if you're here live or if you're watching the replay, it's always nice to kind of take a moment. Hey, Johnny from the desert. It sounds so beautiful. How's my audio? There's construction going on, so I know it's probably loud and distracting, but hopefully you can still hear me all right. Just let me know. It's a little distracting. Awesome. Thank you so much. Usually it does a good job of kind of blocking out like background noises. So just really quickly, nothing too crazy. Let's just have a little breath and ground into this space, into this moment. Thank you all for being here. So much love to you all. My goodness gracious. Are we just going through the craziest transition yet? We're going to get into that in a moment. So let's just take a moment to breathe in and breathe out. Perhaps the biggest breath you've had all day. I've really been coming into a deeper conscious relationship with breath lately. That's been one of my biggest goals. Because, it's so true. If you have breath, you have everything. It's really powerful what we're able to do and move through in our breathing and just taking in more oxygen. It's really powerful for us. And, not only being present and regulating our nervous systems and grounding into the body, but I recently had like a breathwork experience that if you active deep breathing for 30 minutes or so, it will actually put you in, it's like I don't know what to say, almost like a psychedelic state, where you descend deeper into yourself and you're able to really I guess reach a higher state of consciousness. Very profound, and also it's also causes a lot of catharsis, which is emotional release in the body, in the actual physical body, which is so much of, I feel like, what we're doing here. So thank you for being here, everyone that is here. If you're here live, feel free to share, of course, anything you want to share, or just say hi. Let us know how you're feeling. It has been so crazy. This winter for me has just been like deep process after deep process after deep process after deep process. I mean, wow. And, especially recently, it's just one of the words that does come up a lot is transition. It just feels like such a transition for so many of us. And it seems like for me and so many people I know in my life, um, recently or in the past couple months, it's just been like almost upheaval. I think that's the word, just upheaval, like intense change. Things uh, changing. I don't know how else to say it. Things leaving your life, or things entering your life, or just big rattling. And it's like we've kind of been preparing for this, and so it's just, I think, deepening into this. And I wanted to call this, I think I called it embodying your light, because that's been something that's been like so um, focused for me, something that's so focused, because I feel like, even though we're continuing to learn so much, um, and keep learning. We learn new things every day. It feels like this is a time more about embodying and applying all the things that we have learned and have been learning. And um, that is such a sacred, deep practice. It's one thing to be in meditation and be able to feel and experience all of these blissful things. That's incredible, and I love that. That's always been one of my greatest joys. But it's a whole other thing to actually go out into life and practice the things that we've learned, practice being in our light, being in our worthiness, being in our power, being in our wisdom as we're navigating a very, very intense world for many of us. And I just want to say first, like, just love and encouragement and blessings to all of you. And if you have been going through it internally, externally, or both, just please know that you are not alone, because it's truly been so crazy. And, I keep strong to the knowing that it is for a reason, that there is a design to it. And, just trusting the process, deepening into the process, and you know, being able to, I guess, receive the the lessons and the messages, um, as we navigate again very intense things. Like I said, I guess that's another thing, is a lot of like almost upheaval, like just things like really drastically and quickly changing before us, almost like we're getting pushed off a ledge, whether we're getting pushed or whether we're brave enough to just jump ourselves into the unknown. And that really is, like, I think a lot of what I've been feeling lately. It's not even that I've been feeling just you know anxiety or fear, or I don't know, like all of these things, that the whole spectrum of human consciousness that we all feel, that I definitely feel. But more than anything, it just feels so unknown. It just feels so unfamiliar, and I guess that can cause a lot of discomfort. But the beings that we are, I think we're learning to, I guess, be comfortable with the uncomfortable, as I've said before. So, yeah, I just want everyone to know that you are not alone, and just share so much love to you all, because this is, why we're here. And trust that, you have what it takes to navigate all of it. And yeah, exactly. Cody, so good to see you. Thank you for being here. The best is yet to come, most certainly. Break total breakdowns, but also breakthroughs, and something so profound, that I've been learning. It's so hard to put into words, but just like this deeper sense of presence, this deeper sense of flow, and again, embodiment of the soul I am, of the light that I am, which is truly not what I thought it was. Truly not what we often think it is. And it feels like very, very intensely, like it's just, pretty much ever since you awaken, it's like raining ego deaths, right? But especially in this time, there's so many things happening that is causing like a breakdown of the ego, a breakdown of the self that we thought that we were, that we're not. And this is very, very hard. I mean, what we're doing and what we're going through, I just want you to remind yourself to give yourself so much credit through all of it, because it really is so extreme to have these breakdowns of identity, of the self, of who we think we are, sort of just being busted open. And it hurts. It's just kind of inevitable that there's going to be pain in that. But what comes as you continue to bravely walk through that fire is the most incredible liberation imaginable, when you realize who you really are, not who we've been programmed to be, and all these things. I think for many of us, we've been on this path for uh, a considerable time now, and we've done a lot of amazing work as far as whatever you want to call it, healing, transmuting so many different programs and beliefs and shadows, and it's just incredible. And now we're at this point where it just feels like we're getting so deep, it's like things that we didn't even realize, I guess, were um, programs, just sort of evaporating. It's really, really incredible. Um, yeah, let's see what I really want to get into here. Yeah, getting into presence and flow because I feel like that's how the soul operates. It's like we're literally changing operating systems, kind of. That's how it feels. It's like going from ego, which is very much control, 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 and just a different way of being. It's like we're opening now, deepening into the soul's way of being, which is so drastically different. So much more about being present and so much less about the stories we've been holding on to, the past we've been holding on to, and even the future we've been holding on to. This is just my experience. It's so much more about being present and trusting what is and being able to find the qualities of peace, of love, of flow, of faith in the present moment, regardless of what's happening externally and internally. And a lot of this is more about shifting internally than even externally. I think it's definitely a balance of doing the inner shifting, of choosing. I think choice is also a key word because that's been another thing that's been really, really intense in my life. It's like just it's so glaringly obvious the choices that I'm making and how they're affecting me and affecting my human, so to speak. Um, really, really crazy, and then like the mind is so wild. The mind is capable of causing so much pain with just the way that it is and the compulsive thinking and the way it can pull you into these beliefs in these realms so quickly, and then being able to kind of remember to observe them and realize that that's not who you are, that's not your identity, it's just your thoughts. um, Really crazy, really amazing mastery though, as we have to learn to do this and to practice this in this level of intensity. um, where was I going with that? Just going back to, I guess, being present and being deepening into the soul and the power of the soul and the ability to be present with it all, I guess, and just trust, just trust it, and without having to, I guess, fight against everything or resist everything, but rather come from a place of this deep love. And even the word power wants to come up, I think, because it is like a power beyond what we even often think of as power, but like a vitality, like a deep vitality, eternal vitality. That's kind of what the soul feels like. It's really, really powerful. It's like, it feels like the sun within us. And, it's just incredible. So I think that's a big theme of like so much upheaval. And I know it's so uncomfortable, but it's like, I think what it's asking of us and what it's showing to us is how powerful we really are. And in a way, it's like, it's almost making it so there's no other option other than to recognize and embody our light at this time. And it is time to do this, to shine brilliantly, to realize who you are, you know. And I want to say something about all the distractions. There's so many distractions. I mean, it's truly crazy. Um, whether we're talking about distractions of like social media and all the different avenues that are trying to sort of like pull our energy in these different directions. And I think it's just getting more and more intense because it's like our focus, it feels like our focus is as intense as ever for all of us. Our focus, and what we focus on amplifies so much, so that's another thing I think to be aware of, that we're also juggling, among many things in this human experience, is how powerful and potent our focus is. And so wherever you shine your focus on, again, it's like it amplifies so much. So just try to, I would say, that's just my goal, is to be really mindful of what I'm focusing on what my heart is truly asking of me versus getting pulled in all these different directions from all these distractions. Again, whether it's something like social media and all these different people's paradigms and beliefs, because it's like when you focus on a belief, it's like it's gonna I don't know if I want to say come true, but it's like it starts to imprint on your reality. So it's like, as creator beings, what we're believing is so powerful. So just be mindful of what you're believing and putting your focus on. But other than externally, even internally, there's so many distractions. And that's kind of how I've been seeing a lot of it's like, for me, I just feel this strong, powerful energy rising up in me of like, I am here to embody my light. I am here to embody my light and help others. That's really my main two values, I guess I would say. And there's so many forces on a daily basis that will try to distract me from that and pull me out from that. And it's intense. I mean, it's like a battlefield. It's not just little things. I mean, it's really, really, it's intense. And those distractions manifest as things like unworthiness, not being good enough, the anxiety, the fear. I think for me, those are the main ones that I see pretty much on a daily basis that will try to distract me. Um, and I think these things, these kind of emotions or these thoughts are natural. It's part of the human experience, it's part of the programming, it's part of what we're sort of experiencing and shifting, right? So it's like, I think it's something that we have to be aware of, to observe, to um, process, to feel it through. I'm not trying to avoid it or bypass it, because I don't think that that's even really an option, to deny what is when that's arising. I think there's a deeper strength here. I think there's a deeper, it's I think from what I'm observing, it's more about, instead of trying to fight off all of these things that are arising, it's more about no longer being phased by them, no longer entertaining them, no longer being so swayed by these illusions of of unworthiness, or of just these distractions. Oh, what are people going to think? I'm not ready. I'm not ready enough. I'm not good enough. Like all of these very fearful kind of thoughts that, from a soul perspective, seem completely irrelevant, because it's not about any of that at this point, or maybe it never was, but especially now, now it's really truly about having the courage and focus and determination to step into who you really are and to embody your light. And it really is like the energy of a lion, because it's so powerful, it's so courageous, it's so unswayable by all of these distractions. And that's kind of been something I've been trying to hold and practice, because the distractions, again, are so, uh, all over the place, trying to distract us from who we really are, I think, and what we are here to do. So that's just something that I wanted to share, and just, again, more than anything, just so much love and encouragement. I hope you can feel it, because it really has been so intense for me and for everyone pretty much I know in my life, especially for those of us who are on this conscious path. It's just been like, uh, just like a tornado. Like, we're not in Kansas anymore. Like, it's really, really crazy. It seems like just, um, but I think it's so much about our ability to um, witness it and be, just sort of graceful internally as we can, and how we navigate it. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing. Hello, the machine lies. Stark Origin. Do I read the comments? I do. At least I try to. Hello, Bianca, beautiful soul sister. Thank you for being here. You are infinitely beautiful. Hello, Joe. God bless you. The machine lies. Thank you for being here. Again, if any of you have anything you want to share, or topics, or questions, or just how you've been feeling, this is a great place to share. It's like I think something else that's been coming up on my heart is just the importance of community and of people, whether it's online like this or whether it's in person. We're not meant to do everything alone. It's been a very isolating time, I think, and there is a beauty in that. We do need solitude, and at the end of the day, we are responsible for ourselves. But there's something really so profound to me about being able to not only help others but even rely on others, obviously when it's appropriate and safe to do so, because we're not meant to do all of this alone. And there's, I know for myself, I'm very blessed to have such amazing people in my life, to where when I feel like I'm just completely losing my mind, you know and just talking to a friend, just being heard, or just relating to people, when I realize, like, because I think that's something our mind does to us, is it makes us feel like we're the only ones, that it's like everyone else is okay, everyone else has it, figured out, but it's just like, me though, no, like something's wrong with me, like I'm completely out of control, or whatever, these weird narratives that our ego and our shadow kind of can sometimes torment us with, when it's just not true. And so a lot of times I call, one of my friends, and they're going through something with completely different variables, but almost the same exact underlying energy. So just remember, like, a lot of this is a collective thing. It's really not personal. And just give yourself so much credit for what you are able to do. It's enough. It is enough. And another thing, maybe one of the last things I'll share for now, is again, going back to community. Pluto just went into Aquarius, at least according to tropical astrology. Whatever happened, like, that was such a huge shift. I mean, I just saw it again reflected in my life, and in all the people I love's life. Just huge changes. Like, wow, you can't make this shit up. um, but what a beauty it is to, again, these are my two main goals at this point. It's so simple to me. Is to embody my light, embody who I really am as a soul, which again is easier said than done. It sounds so simple, but it's a lot more, because it's like, it's really, that's the work of, like, the master. That's a tall order, to walk through this life every day, every moment, in this embodying who you really are, and not being so swayed and distracted by all of the illusions, and being pulled into the fears or the unworthinesses or the distractions around us, that are so intense. So that's the first one. And the second one is being of service to others, being of service to humanity. And what's so beautiful about this, um, something weird about this life, about this point, I don't know if it's just our society or our culture, is I think that we have become so obsessed with ourselves, to the such a detrimental degree, like this self-consciousness, um, this kind of worship of self. And don't get me wrong, like, we all need to have self-preservation, and it's true, the way we change the world is by changing ourselves. This is true, but at the same time, there's something about being of service to others, being kind to others when we don't have to, but we want to, helping people when we can, just doing more things that we can do to help others, and sort of putting our energy into serving others, and not being so obsessed about ourselves, our personal dramas, our personal, um, all this personal stuff, that, is part of being human. But I think, like, getting lost in it is such a cause of suffering, because you can endlessly focus on yourself and it's never going to be enough. You're always going to be sort of, I think it's that ego part that's always going to be wanting to, I guess, improve. It's always going to be wanting to change. It's always going to be wanting to speculate on your dramas, our own fears or relationships or all of these things, which, again, I'm not saying we shouldn't have self-preservation and work on these things, but I think, again, it gets to the degree though where you can just be so obsessed with yourself. And I don't even necessarily mean that in a conceited way. It's not even like necessarily a narcissistic way. It's because it can be the other way too. I mean, it's not just obsessed with yourself as in you think you're like the best thing ever. I mean, you can be obsessed with yourself where you're obsessed with criticizing yourself. You're obsessed with just whatever it is. I mean, it's bottomless. This is why I'm I'm reading this book right now. It's called Resurrecting Jesus by Adi Ashante. I don't know if that's how you say it, something like that. And it's just so good. It's so grounding. And I think this is like the heart to me. I think everyone can experience Jesus Christ in the story and the teaching of Jesus in different ways. And I think, we can interpret it how we need to. But one of the most beautiful things that I feel from really coming into the the message of Jesus is so many things. It's hard to put into even words, but it's almost like it's like it provides us with such a clear path to spiritual awakening, which is so needed, especially in these times of such complexity and just information overload, where what's, I don't know if I want to say dangerous, but in a way I want to say it's almost dangerous to like how many different distractions and traps that we can get pulled into, and like, and it's bottomless. I mean, it's like endless. Like, not only could you spend your whole life being pulled into some sort of kind of meaningless distraction, but you could spend lifetimes being pulled into what I just want to say meaningless distractions. I mean, just sort of like rabbit holes. And of course, it's like we have free will. We can experience what we want. It's not that, we should feel guilty about that. But I just mean, like, I think we get to the point, our soul, our being, even, our whole being, we get to the point, especially right now, where it's just like, I'm just trying to, embody and follow the light of God, and that's just it. Because all of these other distractions and dramas and all of these things, it's just not, it's just, I understand that it's not going to fulfill me. I understand that it's futile. I understand that it's just like another, um, again, nothing necessarily wrong with those experiences, but for many of us, we're at this time where it's like we're done with that. We're at this point of evolution where we don't want to just play in this illusion of duality again and again and again. It's just like, it's just like, okay, like, thank you, I honor that experience, but um, I'm ready to truly take it to the next level and commit to that no matter what it takes. And I think so many of us are feeling that, and it's so beautiful. And that's one of the reasons, I'm so grateful again for Jesus and his teachings, and just starting to really learn and feel that Christ consciousness on a deeper level. It's so hard to even put it into words, but just this energy of embodying your light, not just when everything is easy and simple, but embodying your light in these very intense and dynamic situations that we find ourselves in. um, I think that's one of the reasons it's so powerful, because in the story of Jesus, we go through, it wasn't just easy for him. It was like he had to go through so many trials and so many tribulations and so many things, that we all have to go through. And there's like, obviously a very, a very godly person, but also a very human person. So it's just so relatable. I think so many of us, that's why so many of us are feeling and relating to Jesus, because it's really such a potent energy for what we're all going through now. We're all going through sort of the similar thing that Jesus went through. and it's intense. I mean, it just is what it is, you know, it really is intense, but it's also, you know, the most beautiful thing that we can do, you know, going through these things and um, remembering who we really are, instead of keep getting pulled into these, again, distractions. I mean, it's just so intense, you know. I think in a way maybe we knew this would happen and this was coming, but I think to the level, to the degree, you know, it's unfathomable until you get there. So beautiful. Machine lies. I've been very alone lately, but cultivating myself. If you are lonely when you are alone, you are in bad company, as Sartre says. That's so true. I'm blessed to have many people interested in my content in a community, but it does isolate me. At home, there is no one for me, but I have a deep love. I understand what you say about embodying. Knowledge of self and self mastery is the only freedom in this world. We begin with empty hands and end with empty hands. All that was given by others, and all that we have now was spread about. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Rohan, whoever is delighted in solitude is either a wild beast or a god. Beloved Joe. Hello, Colleen, Art of Arts. Cody, yeah, that book is so good. I highly recommend it. I ended up getting it on Audible, and I just listen to it whenever I can, and it really is so grounding. Um, you know, that's just the weird thing, you know, like something like I've noticed for myself. I'm not a big social media person, obviously. I'm like, I'm just, it's just doesn't come naturally to me. You know, I actually wish I was a little better at it. But, you know, it is what it is. But that's one of the things about navigating it. Um, it's like, especially when you're like on the spiritual path, because for me, like getting on, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, which I really don't get on social media that much because it's just, it's literally just too much. And you know, that's just something I want to say is like, in the same way of what we eat, what we consume, you know, the information you're taking in is influencing us so much, you know. And for me, when getting on these platforms, it's all pretty much spiritual content for me, or like, you know, spiritual content or philosophical content. And, you know, even that, it just gets to the point to where it's just too much. I don't know how to explain it. It's just too, there's just way too much going on. I just had to really, really like reel myself in. And, you know, there's probably like one or two sources of, I guess, information that I follow at any given time, you know, because that's about it for me. It's like it's too much to try to, you know, follow all these different things. And I don't know, again, just I feel like it's just to be aware that you're not pulling your energy in all these different directions, and what you're listening to is going to affect you so profoundly, because when you're adopting other people's paradigms, you know, that can be really beneficial, but it can also be, you know, detrimental in a way. And again, one of the things that I'm experiencing so much at this time is just the power of our choice. And this is a difficult one, honestly, because um you know, it feels like we're in this time where, at least for me, like the, again, the potency and the power of our choice and the choices we make, whether they're small choices or, you know, big decisions, it's like, it's just kind of, I've been really seeing how much it affects us, you know. And with our free will, our ability as creator beings, it's like we have this gift to choose what we focus on. And I don't know, it's just kind of been revealed to me on a deeper level, because I feel like in the past, you know, there was a part of me that knew that, but there was almost like a lot more um, simplicity, I guess, in that. And now it's, I don't know how to even explain that, but maybe, you know, I just want to share it because maybe that's helpful, or relate, you know, people relate to that. You know, just the power of what we're choosing to focus on, what we're choosing to consume, what we're choosing to do with our time. You know, are we choosing to just, you know, get swept up in all of these things that are so easy to get swept up in, or are we choosing our love? Are we choosing what our soul is asking of us? That's what I think I'm trying to say. It's like, because you can choose not to. You can choose to ignore what your soul is asking you to do. And, it might have, consequences. Either way, it's going to have consequences. But it's like, we're giving this gift very much right now where we're able to see our choices and free will. And you don't have to do what your soul is asking you to do because you think it's too hard. You think it's too scary. You think it's too much. You think you can't handle it, so just be aware of that because I think that's just something that's being highlighted right now. And it's okay, whatever you're doing, there is a divine path always emerging for you no matter what. That's the thing about God as well, is like infinite mercy, infinite forgiveness, always every moment is so new. So even in this time where like our choices, it's everything seems kind of like a paradox. It's like our choices that we're making are so important. And for me personally, I have been feeling this energy of fire of the soul where it's not so much um, just sort of like willy nilly. It's kind of like, okay, like we are here to do what we came here to do. We are here to rise up and be strong and be in our power, lovingly, of course. Um, but there's almost an element where you have to really pull yourself up, like for real, pull yourself up, right now, because this stuff can be so paralyzing. This stuff can be so debilitating. It's like it's kind of almost like it can make you just want to like give up or like just sort of like shrink back. And we got to do what we got to do, and I understand that, but it's like for me personally, and just what I really want to share is I don't think that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I don't think we're here to do. I think we're here to like to really pull ourselves up, like again, like the lion, and be like, here, like I'm here doing what I'm supposed to be doing, not just getting, pulled and shrinking away and all the intensity. It's like letting it inspire us to rise even more with this sort of like determination and courage, and not being pulled into these things. So that's so powerful. That's so beautiful. There's something else I was going to say about that. I don't know. It'll come to me. Joe Potter, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. Beautiful. I don't know how to say that word, not gonna lie. Thessalonians 5:18. Stark origin, you're funny. I could not do that, but simpler times, I guess. Yeah, but that's so beautiful, Joe. Gratitude piece. Yeah, having gratitude, giving thanks. Again, all of these things. Again, I have to go back to, you know, to the story of Christ and just that energy that provokes within us. Truly, that's why it's so powerful and meaningful, because it gives us a path. It gives us a blueprint, that is very dynamic. you know it's very expansive. It's way beyond religion. I mean, it's way beyond. It has nothing to do with religion. Truly, what Jesus is and what his teachings and his story. But it's a clear path, and for many of us, it's something that we really need in a time of infinite distractions. I mean, gosh, just so many distractions. you know when really, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's so simple. I think it's so simple. It's possible that it can be simple. And there's something really noble about simplicity. And it's some simple things are hard though. I feel like for me, I try to live a simple life. I always kind of try to live a simple life. And before I know it, it's like all this complexity, all this complication arises. So it's like we kind of have to put in effort to maintain that simplicity. And just I thought of this because of giving thanks, being grateful for all what we have. Being grateful for what we have and allowing it to be enough, and keeping our focus on these simple kind of things of being grateful, of embodying our light, of being of service to others. I mean, it really is that simple. It really is that simple, you know? yeah, we have a lot to juggle. There's a lot going on. We have to survive in this world. We have things that arise. Um, and I think more than anything, we're becoming more open and sensitive to this kind of fourth dimensional world of just intense energies that are perceivable by us now. Before it was like whatever, it's like we don't even perceive it, but now it's like the thoughts are getting louder, emotions getting louder, beliefs. I mean, again, a lot of this is mental. The mind. My friend Bianca, I don't know if she's still here, but we were talking the other day. She said the mind is the weakest link. I think that is so, so true because a lot of the distractions, it comes from the mind. It's coming from these beliefs. And what's so tricky about these thoughts and beliefs is that you can be in them, you can be so swept up into these paradigms, and you cannot even know it's happening. And you're just kind of along for the ride. And then eventually, thankfully, at some point, something will interrupt that, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, what the heck? But the momentum of the mind is, it can be very extreme once you're getting pulled into thoughts repetitively. If you're having these thoughts, and you're having them again and again, whatever it is, whether it's about a situation in your life, what am I going to do? Oh my God, I have to do something. What am I going to do? Um, it can be anything, any kind of just thought structure. And especially you start thinking it again and again and again, you start finding yourself with, like, it feels like you're within the thought. It's like it's consuming you. um, so that's another, reminder, if that's happening, to come back to the present moment. And that's kind of all you can do when that momentum of the mind is so strong. That's, what I've learned. All you can really do is, in a way, you have to force yourself. I mean, that's the energy I'm talking about, of courage and determination. I mean, you actually sort of have to force yourself somehow to come back to the present moment and be present and be present and be present. Focus, laser beam focus on presence. Laser beam focus on presence, like your life depends on it, because it does. Because these thoughts are trying to pull your life away from you. It's not personal, it just is what it is. So you have to use all of your might and strength to come back to the present moment. And as you do that, you find yourself, being present, whatever you need to do. Maybe you can meditate, or you can play music, or you can talk to someone, or do whatever you need to do. We all at this point know things that help us to be present. And then you'll notice that momentum dissipates, and then you'll be free again. You won't be so caught up in within these thought structures that are so crazy. And then just be grateful, because it's such an amazing lesson. um, it's such an amazing, all of these things are amazing lessons. And whenever you find yourself, you know making a mistake like that, whenever you find yourself getting swept up by the thoughts, or making the wrong choice, or whatever it is that you're judging yourself for, just remember, just like, to give yourself compassion and let it go. This is okay. This will probably be the last thing I say. But with judging and with the stories, I think a big part of the energy we're stepping into is freeing us from the stories, us ourselves no longer being so wrapped up in the stories, and as a collective, as a group of people, coming together and just letting the stories go. Just letting the stories go. Even like everything in your past. You could sit here and reminisce and ruminate about everything in the past, whether it's a long time ago or even just the recent past, and just try to put all this meaning onto it and focus on it. Just like, oh, I did this, my life isn't ever going to be the same. I messed up. I did something bad. I did something wrong, or whatever it is. And you could literally come up with this whole story about it and dwell upon it and let it feed off of your, life force energy, or, but I think it's time for us to really just let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And be present. Be present. That's all you can do. Again, that's why the power, that's why Jesus Christ is so powerful, because it's the teachings of infinite forgiveness. I mean, we all make mistakes. We all are, um, act in ways that are unconscious sometimes. It's like, that's just kind of how it is. And the best thing we can do is recognize that and learn from that, and be present now and move forward with, you know, as much wisdom as we can. That it's just the human condition. It's not personal. So if you're feeling that, just be aware of that. Letting go of all these stories, because the stories and the drama, this is what I'm trying to say. It's like you could spend lifetimes playing in these things and you would get nowhere. I mean, it's just crazy. You would get nowhere. You would just continue to sort of spiral in these illusions of the world that are actually bottomless and infinite. Like that's what I mean when I say like infinitely. You could spend lifetimes playing around in these stories, and I think this is part of the age of Pisces, and we're going into this new age of Aquarius. Pisces is known for being very um, sort of just like stories and kind of just like this sort of dreamy kind of energy. But now it's like that is the dream. It's like now it's like it's time for us to awaken out of the dream, or so that is the calling on so many of our hearts. So that's uncharted territory, though. That's literally uncharted territory for us as human beings. We've been kind of dependent on these stories. These stories have defined the way that we live. And by stories, again, I just mean all of the past things that we have attached meaning to. And when you begin to just be present and let that go, it's such an empowering feeling. And I think right now it's so important for us to be putting our focus the best we can on things that empower us, on things that uplift us, rather than these things that distract us and keep us tied into these things that don't even matter, that really don't even matter, whether it's within ourselves and our judgments about ourselves, or these judgments we have towards other people in our lives about who we think they are. Um, all of these things that kind of keep us tied into this drama. And, a lot of it is not even necessary. And even with the world stage, I think for most of us, we realize like that is sort of just a reflection of everything that's going on within us. So it's just so beautiful, to continue to let go of these things that are no longer relevant to us, that are sort of pulling us out of our energy, pulling us out of our soul, pulling us out of our power, to recognize that again and again and again. And again, no longer being so swayed by it, because again, I just wanted, I'm repeating myself, but it's like, I think it's more about being able to see these things and observe these things, whether it's within us or around us, and having the focus and the determination to not be distracted by it anymore. Whether it's fear, anxiety, thought forms, happenings. It's like it's almost like we're standing in this very intense field of energy where all these things are happening. All these things are being able and allowed to happen. And I don't think it's so much about denying them or judging them or condemning them. Again, speaking of Jesus, it's like, what that saying is, I don't know it exactly, but, judge, if what is it? Somebody can type it in, judge not, or you'll be judged, condemn not, and you be condemned, something like that, because it's a reflection. When you're sitting here, it's just a lower energy to be judging yourself or to be judging and condemning others. It's almost like, in a way, you're actually just fighting your light, because your light is so powerful that your light doesn't really give a fuck about any of that. You know what I mean? Your light doesn't really give a fuck about any of that, because when you're connected to your light is so powerful and strong and infinite, it's unfazed by any of that stuff. Your light is unfazed. Your light can be in this field where maybe there's um, fear or anxiety or judgment or distractions. But when you're tuned in to your light is unfazed by that stuff. Judge not lest you be judged. Yeah, exactly. It's like the judgment, the hatred, the shame, the guilt, like all of these energies, you know, it's just, I think it's getting to the point where it's just too much of a burden to bear. It's like that Martin Luther King quote, I'm choosing love because hatred is too much of a burden to bear. That really is the experience. That's the experience I feel like I'm having. these old ways of being, of, again, living in this judgmental way towards yourself or towards others, when there's so many things that are out of your control. There's so many things that are just out of your control, and when you're judging them, it's almost like you're getting caught up on them, or um, yeah, hating and shaming, and just all of these energies, just not that they don't still arise, but to me it just seems more and more like they're kind of just not the point. They're kind of irrelevant. They don't really serve us at this point. There's something deeper within us. There's something more powerful within us. There's something stronger that is wanting to come out, and it is coming out. We just have to continue to um, allow it to come out. And also, this, again, for me, I just feel this energy of focusing on it, staying focused, focus, you know, because there's just so many distractions, it's unreal. And that's what I was just saying. I think the judgment and anxieties and the fears, it's like, not that we can bypass these things, or these things are um, again, shameful. Like, there's not even a judgment about them. It's more or less just realizing what they are at this point, which in a lot of times it's a distraction from you. What are you really trying to do? What are you really trying to create in your life? What is that? If you can, take the time to get clear on that, and just focus on that, laser beam focus, because everything is going to try to pull you out of that. I mean, it's just insane. And I think it's always been like this, but it's so much more intense now, where everything, it seems like, is trying to pull you off into some other rabbit hole, and you're free to do that. It's not a shameful thing, but the point is, that's probably not what you really want to do anymore, especially if you're listening to this. What do you really want to do? Like I said, for me, it's like, for me, it's so simple. It's just embody my soul, help other people. That's it. Isn't that so simple? Anyone can do that, right? But at the same time, for me to say that and then go live my life, it's like, how many times throughout my day is some thought or some emotion or some event going to try to pull me out of that? And at the end of the day, it's my choice. It's my responsibility of how I'm going to distribute my energy within those times. And it's like a very intense training ground now for all of us, more than ever. It's like, I can navigate these things. I can be a witness to these things, and I don't have to bypass them or deny them, but I also don't have to give away what I know. I don't have to give away what I know in order to navigate these things. Hopefully that makes sense. Just more than anything, though, I'll end on this note, because I know I've been talking away, and thank you all so much for being here. So much love to all of you beautiful souls. Seriously, so much love to you. I mean, it's just incredible what we're doing here. Is seeing your light, being able to see your light in yourself, and seeing the light in other people. Again, that saying, I am the light I am, that is a huge mantra for me, because you know what you focus on is going to amplify so intensely. So it's like, when you're able to have the strength to focus on your light, on your vision, and be able to see the light in those around you, you will notice a profound shift, versus focusing on all of the distractions. In a lot of ways, a lot of this darkness we're dealing with is a distraction. Again, not that we can't see it or be a witness to it, but what I'm trying to say is, as far as giving our power away to it, thinking we're victims, we are not victims. We are not victims. That's the whole thing that got us into this mess, is thinking we're victims when we are powerful creator beings, and having this experience in this body. This body is literally shifting. Our bodies are literally getting lighter. Our soul is every day, bit by bit, being able to come more into our bodies and resonate this new evolutionary shift for all of humanity. And this is a natural process, but it's also something that we have to participate in, So that's everything for now. Thank you all so much for being here. You guys are just so beautiful. Thank you, just for your patience with me as well. I know it's I haven't been making nearly as much videos as I've been wanting to. It's just kind of hard for me because I go through such deep processes, and and I have my, again, distractions of like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I can even make videos, but I think that is definitely just, one of the illusions that I go through. So I'm working on that, to be just honest with you all. Hello, Brett. Nice to see you as well. Tides of Truth, Blazing Koala. Oh my gosh. Well, it's so hard to get off of here. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Um, yeah, we are doing it. We got this. Just, continue to feel that love in your heart and let it guide you. That's one thing I can definitely say throughout all of the trials and tribulations that I've been going through, is it's been softening and opening my heart like no other. It's just incredible. Thank you, Tides of Truth. I'm so glad. So glad. Yes, so much encouragement to all of you. Seriously. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's just crazy the events that have been going on personally. Like not just for me personally, but the people I know personally. It's just like relentless. It's relentless. But what's so crazy is that it's like, despite how um, you know, harsh it seems on the surface, it's like it just continues to show and reveal itself as an actual opportunity for healing, for deeper love, for deeper peace, for deeper growth. It's like it's cutting through all of the illusions and stories that we've been living in, and sort of forcing us to see what really matters, what's really important. Because it's like you get to the point where you're just weary of all the illusions. You're just weary of, um, all of these stories that have us acting in this way that's hurting us and it's hurting other people. It's like it gets to the point where you're just ready for that change. It also gets sometimes to the point where you feel like you're not ready for that change, but the change is happening, So it's like you kind of have to flow with it, flow on the river. And flow doesn't mean everything is always easy. Flow means you're just flowing with it. Even if you're hitting the rocks or you're on the, um, what is it, like whitewater rafting, like intensity, it's still, just flowing through it all. So thank you all so much for, again, being here. And it's an honor to be on this journey with you at this time. I just can't give you enough love right now. Just love yourself so much. Remember who you are. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Goodbye, everyone.